Yep. All right, it's 5 o'clock. If y'all want to get started. Uh, you ready? To load up. It has the sound, so we'll be good. We're good. All right. Mr. Byron called and apologized. He won't be able to be here this evening, so um, Alderman Ashby, if you would remember him when you give our invocation this evening.
Absolutely. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this night. Lord, we just thank you for the group that comes together, Lord, that makes decisions for the city of Crowley. We just ask that as we make these decisions, Lord, we would always continue to keep you first, Lord, that your decisions would be made. We lift up Alderman Willridge to you, Lord. Lord, as he's sick, we just ask that you just heal him where he is, Lord, that you just make him feel better, whatever it is that he's going through. Be with us tonight as we make decisions. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Mr. Martin, you want to lead us in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Public Works. Alderman Dorey, it's your show.
All right. I will now open Public Works.
Oh.
Yes. I will now open Public Works and let the record show that a quorum is present. Public Works Director Albert John.
But I'm sorry, that's why I jumped in. Turn up the volume.
Public Works Director Albert John, please.
Albert is also not feeling well. Albert is also not feeling well. He's not going to be here this evening. I told Mr. Byron when he called me, I said, seems like something might be going around, a little bug or something, because a few people seem to be under the weather.
Okay.
If you haven't noticed, the street sweeper is back from the shop again, finally. It has been out on the road and trying to pick up I think this is more leaves than we've ever seen falling from these oak trees, but it is back on the road. We did order another part for it because there's another part that is rusted out and needs to be changed, but it is operable, hopefully until that part gets in. Albert and I are meeting with the company who sells the street sweepers on Thursday morning, and then I will be bringing to y'all what a new one would cost. This thing is 16 years old. I'm also going to try and pull the records of maintenance and repairs that have been done to this machine over the past couple of years. I think it's been in the shop more than it's been out of the shop, but but it is, it's 16 years old and it's done its time. But anyway, so that'll be something that we'll need to look at here in the near future, replacing a lot of the things that we're dealing with today have been neglected for many years, and so some of it's starting to come back to haunt us. So.
If that's it, thank you very much, Mayor. And City Engineer Tim Mader? No action items. All right. Now we have Street Commissioner Wesley Jacob.
I don't know why Wesley's not here. He's probably still working. I know he's been busy and trying to complete a few projects. So If he shows up later, maybe we'll get his report later. If not, then he'll be here next week for it.
Okay. And, under action items, no action items present from the monthly engineers report, but we need to approve naming a road in the city, Nelson Arsenault Drive. So, we have anything to say about it, or just move it on?
Y'all would need there's a lot to do to rename a street. I've already given, I've expressed my concern about renaming one block of a street. There are some other options that we may be able to look at. And Lafayette has done it, and that's something that we need to research and see how that was done and what it took. But the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Parkway, or Memorial Parkway in Lafayette, the street name stayed the same. So the addresses of the properties, the same street name, 911, the post office, all of those things stayed the same, but they dedicated that section of the road, and it was more than one block, but they dedicated that and put signs up saying Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Parkway.
Yeah, that's basically what, I wasn't planning on changing, 7th Street or whatever it is. No,
Just a dedication for that block.
right,
Oh, good.
just like going down Camille Boulevard, it's, Memorial, Police Memorial.
Right, but it's still Camellia, yes, okay.
Okay.
I don't know that, I don't know that we're in a position tonight to vote on, well, I mean, maybe we could vote on, starting the process or looking into the process, to do that. I don't know what it's gonna take to make that dedication of that block.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to actually change a street name just requires a resolution, but then there's also a lot of reporting requirements to the registrar of voters. You have to, right, so you have to report to the registrar of 911, the prior name and the new name, all of the prior addresses and any new addresses. You have to give addresses to any unaddressed buildings or homes that are on that street, along with some other information, and that has to all be done within a certain specified period of time. I guess if you're not renaming the street, but just dedicating the street, you would probably just a simple resolution, but we'd have to look a bit into that.
Okay, yeah, yes, sir.
If you have been involved with it, it's basically just a vote of the council, okay, do a resolution, because there's only one other, family that lives on there, and they were overwhelmed with naming it, okay? But at no time was I changing it from, I don't even know the name of it.
It's 7th Street, it's West 7th Street, still West 7th Street at that point, yes, sir.
Okay, West 7th Street, just a dedication, a memorial to it, that's it.
So can we make a motion to do that?
Sure, we can, maybe make a motion to, approve, drafting a resolution or following the proper procedures of dedicating that block,
Sandy
as
can do that.
Nelson J. Arsenault Drive.
Brad can do
or-
that.
Make that motion.
Yeah.
See, we'll have, that's the lease right there, man.
Brad makes,
I'll offer that motion.
Brad's making a motion that we move forward with it. Have a second? Sandy? Sandra?
I'll second.
Okay. You're falling down on your job over there. Okay.
Taking a break.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Okay.
And with that, there's nothing else to discuss, and I will recess.
Thank you, sir. Let's see, utility, Alderman Martin.
Let's see, Utility Committee convened to
today, we'll put it that way. We do have a quorum. First up, Tim Crater, wastewater superintendent.
Good afternoon. During the last 30 days, we had 139 Louisiana One Call Locate requests. We filed 21 work orders.
Tim, if we may, Mayor, I would not mind if West want to give his report since he's in, and then we go into utilities.
That's fine,
Okay.
if you want to do that.
Yeah, Tim, if you don't mind, Tim.
I don't mind.
All right, thank you.
Wes, you ready?
Well, well, this way his committee would be complete.
Yeah.
How y'all doing today?
All right.
I'll be short today. The normal routines are normal. Everything is in operation. Equipment pretty much running. We have a few little small repairs to do on the street sweeper. The tractor just came back. So all of our normal operating is pretty normal. I will say the rain that we had a couple weeks ago was a little overwhelming. And it was my first experience, with all the flooding that we had here and there. So I talked to Mr. Mader. I almost thought it was like, I think I'm doing too good of a job. I'm thinking I'm causing the flooding. So we have about 6 jobs that we got to finish up, and then we're gonna kind of stop and wait for the normal rains to come through just to make sure that we're not doing too much too fast. As far as my other stuff on our agenda, we had an accident this past month. My street foreman, Brent Sparrow, was parked on Parkinson. A car came over the tracks, hit him from the behind. Him and Madeline, the girl that does the flower beds, was in the vehicle with him. So they missed a few days of work, but they both back at work. They still a little banged up. I think Brent has a little break somewhere. They can't even put a patch. Where my mind going? A cast. So it's not anything that's overwhelming. I had an incident today checking the canals. I was walking down to the bottom and looking inside the culvert. I slipped and fell. Kind of hurt my little wrist a little bit, but nothing major. But other than that, it's been good. Only thing that I would ask is if we could somehow come up and get the committees together, safety, public safety, and us. During that flood, we were trying to barricade roads. We had cars coming down entirely too fast, pushing water in homes. I almost got hit. I got drenched with water. We just got to figure out something, because it was actually not safe with the amount of cars that were just going through the water. And I was out there trying to stop them, and I felt for the people, because the waves was actually pushing in people's houses. If it wasn't for the vehicles, I don't think any of them would have got water in their houses. So I don't know how y'all go about doing it, but if we can sit down and come up with a game plan, that might help. But other than that, everything is running normal.
Wesley, I'll tell you, the police department was out there, and I was working along with the police department, and there's some things that we can control and fix, and some things we just can't. When you have citizens who are out joyriding in the water, they're out there riding around to see what's going on. They have no understanding, or probably don't even care, some of them, that they're pushing water into businesses and homes. I had my vehicle, my city vehicle, it doesn't have any lights or signs on it, and I guess maybe that's part of the reason, but I had my city vehicle blocking Parkinson until we could get some barricades there, and they would go around me, and I had to flag them down and stop them, and because water was right at the doorways of some of these buildings. I'll tell you that the police department did the best that they could. They certainly were out and about. There were some areas that they couldn't travel either. we had a lot of rain, but you know, that's kind of the nature of the beast. Some of these people just, it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
Well, I'm gonna just make y'all laugh. I actually called in 911, went to the police station, and I was like, look, even if we just gotta take their keys and just tell them to walk, I'm telling you, it was bad. I'm talking about, it was right here on GH in that area behind 8th. It was bad, and this cars was just going, and I was like, man. But any other questions? We both teaming up. I tell y'all, after the flood, I called Zach. I said, Zach, we're a little bit overwhelmed. I need your guys to take care of the parks, and we'll take care of the city. And without hesitation, say we got it. Yeah, we're working together.
All right, Mr. Martin, now utility.
Okay, we'll continue. We pulled pumps at the 8th Street Lift Station and Oddfellows Pump Station. Both were cleared of the stoppage, inspected, placed back in service. We're in the process of, last month I reported that the telephone pole went through a sewer main on Hutchinson. Upon further television work, we had a cable anchor in the next block that went through the outside. We're waiting on price quotes and meeting up with the contractor, so we're gonna, after we viewed the television report, that line from K to Eastern Avenue we'll have to replace. After meeting with the mayor and Tim Mader, that's gonna be the best out, because if not, we'll just continue piecing it together, basically.
Well, who gonna pay for that? You say a pole went through, was it,
A
an
utility
accident?
pole. The pole was installed roughly in 1975,
Oh, well, don't worry about it. Oh, I
76.
thought
Yeah.
this was something new. Okay,
No,
good,
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
75, 76.
Might
And I
still
guess
be under
over
warranty,
time,
man.
it just, yeah,
Never know.
over time, it went through there. We open trenched it, we were fixing to do the repair, and the new pole that they had placed off the excavation site slid into the box. So we're working at, everyone that is involved in the job has been notified. They are moving utilities out the way to reposition everything where we can open trench all the way down and lay new pipe from K to Eastern. There is a spot on Eastern Avenue at 5th Street, roughly a 40-foot section. We're gonna do a point repair there. The pipe is not circular, it's oblong and cracked pretty bad. But as we were cleaning the line multiple times, different times, we were pulling back clay pipe, rags, flushable wipes, you name it, it was coming through there. Pieces
How
of
big is
clay
the pipe?
pipe, so
Was it about a 4-inch pipe?
14-inch.
14
14-inch
inch.
clay.
Oh, okay.
They don't make, we can't find 14-inch clay, so we're going to a 15-inch.
We don't want to find 14-inch clay.
SDR 35.
But you gonna put a boot on it and extend it?
Oh, no, it's gonna be gasket pipe, and they'll
Or tie into one
gasket
another?
together.
They're
all
gonna
the way
actually dig the clay pipe
Okay,
out
take
and
it out.
replace it all with PVC,
Okay.
basically.
That'll work.
Other than that, that's the biggest things we've had. Wesley touched on the rain over the city, anywhere between 6 and 9 inches, depends where you were. I know days after the rainfall is when we see our inflow. We've taken in better than 12 million gallons. There is an I&I issue, we've known that, and it's to pinpoint those areas. And I think we're coming up with a game plan. We'll have a meeting in the near future to discuss what we're gonna go do with that.
Well, I personally want to thank you for taking care of that. Which street was that we met on?
Lenny Johnson,
Yeah,
wasn't
I
it?
appreciate that. They told me the results were real fine, and I thank you for that.
Good. Appreciate it. Any questions or anything?
No one? Thank you, Tim.
All right, thank you.
And check on that, it might have a warranty, buddy. Never know. All right. All right, city engineer, Tim Mater, your show.
Thank you, Step. As with the Public Works Committee, I have no action items. I'm available anytime if you have questions about my updates. I think you have a copy of the engineer's report.
Okay, with that being said, we're gonna recess.
Thank you, sir. Let's see, Recreation, Alderman Ashby.
We'll call Recreation Committee to order. We do have a quorum. We will call up the Recreation Director, Zach Duyon.
Hi, good evening, council. So we had our opening day this past Saturday, and it was a success. We had all 55 of our recreation teams were able to play. We scheduled them between 8, 9, 10, 11, and noon to try to get ahead of the rain, which didn't end up coming till that evening anyway. So it all worked out. We had some beautiful weather, and it was great seeing, a lot of the city out there. Sticking on the topic of rec, our baseball and softball games begin Monday, April 14th. We'll have, so we had the opening day. We'll have one more week of practice this week, and then our games will begin, or continue, I should say, next Monday. A quick count for the tournament teams that we've had in March. First weekend in March, we had 48. Second weekend, we had 52. Last weekend, we had 58. And, well, no, sorry, 2 weeks ago, we had 58, and then the last weekend, we had 47. So it's a total of 205 teams that came into the city of Crowley in the month of March. Two of which were the largest tournaments that 2D has put on so far, and we were able to host 58 and 47 teams respectively throughout those tournaments. Crowley High School baseball is hosting their district tournament this week at Miller. They played last night, and to put it respectfully, they beat Ville Platte. I think it was 15-0 after 3 innings. They're looking good though. Crowley High is doing a great job. We had skating last night at MLK. I spoke with Smokey, and we had over 100 people in attendance. It's great to see. He said a lot of, not just the youth, but a lot of middle school and high school aged, and a lot of parents out too. And then the field at MLK, all the sod has been cut, all the lines have been drawn, everything's been painted. I got to visit with Smokey today. We were out there. And so there were, I think you said seven citizens who came out, and they had kind of a just put together practice, hitting the ball, fielding the ball, running bases. And yes, sir. And this Saturday, from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock at MLK, I know Smokey had said that Chris Mayfield's going to be out there as well. And so we encourage anybody in the community, anybody in the city of Crowley, as well as Rain and Church Point, wherever young athletes are at, and they want to learn more about baseball. This Saturday at MLK, they'll have some teaching and coaching the techniques. So, yes, sir. And then we've begun mulching playground areas. We're hoping to finish everything in all the city parks before the summer time rolls around. We know that obviously that's the busiest time when the park's the most utilized. Now that we've gotten past the rain from this past weekend and we've got some decent weather, we began spraying parks today. We'll kill off that grass, roll down that black paper, and try to put the mulch on top, and that way it doesn't grow back. Beautifying our parks. And then we've got 3 benches that were donated for MLK Park on 7th Street. I want to thank specifically Chief of Police Troy and Monica Hebert, Bishop James W. Azora, and Trina Proctor, and the National Association of University Women Incorporated. Those 3 benches were donated by those 3 families and organizations, and it's very much appreciated. So those should be in 5 to 6 weeks' time, and then we'll install them at that point. And I know it was on the discussion as well, but we've removed 2 of the water fountains from city parks. We're going to be removing more as soon as the resources are available. As Wes said, we're working together, not just in trash and pickup, but as we don't have nearly the equipment that the street department does. So appreciate, you know, you and you guys going out there, and the mayor himself going out there and taking up those parking stops as well to beautify these parks. And that's all that I've got. Any questions?
One more, it's not on a discussion item, but the lights at 8th Street Park. I know you and I have discussed that already, and I'll let you kind of give a little description, but I'm definitely not comfortable with something that anyone can
Yeah.
walk out there and turn on and turn off on their own.
Yes, correct.
Something that definitely needs to be on a timer, like every other park is in the city. So if you have anything that you can tell us about that.
Yes, sir. So it was last week we went to 7th Street Park. I spoke with Jared Abshire. He came and cleaned out the breaker box, replaced a breaker and a coil, and so the lights themselves on the tennis court are operating. Spoke with him further, and he's going to get me an exact estimate, but we're looking at about $250 to $300 to put it on a timer. The idea is that, like you mentioned, like the other parks, as well as the recreation department, that has been resolved. Especially with it being daylight savings time, about 7:30 the lights will turn on, and at 10 o'clock per city ordinance, at 10 o'clock it'll turn off. So that's something that's in the works that I've spoken with him. He did the repairs for the coil and the breaker. But no, I agree with you. So the on and off switch, but it will be on a timer. We're going to be getting that taken care of.
Zach, go ahead and expound on what we had talked about as far as the playground with the, what they call that little rubber stuff that be at the bottom?
The mulch? Yes, sir. So we ordered 200 bags of mulch this past week to get an idea. What I wanted to do was do it at the recreation department before we started traveling park to park and see what it would cost, what the square footage of each playground area is, and then we can go from there to see the cost of it. So all in all, Steins was having a little deal. If you buy 5 bags of mulch, it's only $2 a bag. So we bought 200 bags for a total of $400, and that covered well over 400 square foot. So we're looking at each playground structure, 100 to 150 bags per playground structure at each playground. As of now, yes, sir. But if it comes to something that, you know, I'm realizing that it's, so like I said, we have 9 parks, but we have 16 different playground structures. So if we're looking at 200 each, 3,200, it shouldn't be an issue before summer gets here. But if it is, you know, encroaching on that percentage-wise of the budget, then that can definitely be something that can be discussed. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Anybody else has anything for Zach? All right, thank you, Zach, man. Y'all did a great job at Martin Luther King, at that park out there.
Thank you.
It looks fantastic. I hadn't seen it look that good since I was a kid.
Yes, sir.
And
And I know that, you know, that's something that that some people have spoken of. It takes a lot of people, you know, and it's not just the recreation department fulfilling the actions. It's being brought to our attention. I know, you know, Mr. Bear, Step, you know, Chad, yourself, a lot of the committee as well, bringing that and making it happen. But it takes the community utilizing it, and to see that, you know, is a very is a moment of pride. You know, if we can have that for our community and for our youth, that's, you know, Step and I talked about that. That's the entire reason why we're here. You know.
absolutely.
Chair, I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Zach, we've talked about this before at Levy Park. The tennis players there are still requesting some type of a windscreen on the north side. I know we've discussed that. You talked
Yes.
about the structure of the post may not be able to handle the wind resistance, and just is there anything that can be done?
Yes, so we do have some windscreens that are in our barn, and we're going to be looking into that this week.
Okay,
to try
great.
and make sure we take care of
I
that.
appreciate that.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Any other questions? I'm also glad to hear that Chris Mayfield, if he's watching, he's a good friend, that he's finally taking that suit off, putting a baseball uniform back on and going to teach those kids. He's got a lot to teach them. Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. Any other questions for Zach? All right, Zach, thank you. Look,
Thank you
look,
all.
look, you
Thank you
even
all for
got
your
Wes
time.
laughing out there.
Thank you all for your time.
Y'all need to have him out there. Still the best hands in Crowley. All right, City Engineer Tim Mater. Hi. Okay, under discussion items, we already talked about the fountains being removed. The one other thing that's under discussion items is the walking track, and unless there's something that we really need to bring up, I think you and I really need to get together and get with Zach, and let's discuss it, make sure we can fit it in his budget, make sure we good to go.
Wesley got it.
He was gonna do it in mulch.
I almost forgot, I did a little research for y'all, dealing with sidewalks, so this is something you can write down. 1 8-yard truck of concrete gives you 150 feet of sidewalk. That's a 4-foot wide sidewalk. One truck, 8-yard truck of concrete gives you 150 linear feet of sidewalk. That's the math to go on. So you gotta calculate your length, it's gonna calculate that. We have, the concrete is on contract, so we know we got a set price, so,
$150 a yard.
so 150 times 8 is, come on, my mind is fried, but
850.
every 150 linear feet is gonna take one truck.
And that's a,
Yeah.
and Wes, that'll be a 3-foot sidewalk wide, the width,
4 foot.
4-foot sidewalk.
4 foot by 3.5 inches, 150 feet per truck. So that's the math. All right.
That's just concrete. That's not framing, that's not farm material. And we're working on trying to get some of the sidewalks in these parks fixed, at least sections of the sidewalks, not the entire. Remember, we have 9 neighborhood parks in this city. 9 neighborhood parks. And I don't know how many miles of concrete sidewalk throughout the city that could be changed. Would I like to sit up here and say we're going to do all that? Hell yeah. But I don't know where we get the money for it. Over many years now, our city has moved more into the recreation department, recreation area for the city to go to instead of the 9 city parks, because if you look at them, most of them, unless the neighborhood has kept it up, and I'll tell you, some neighborhoods do a hell of a job at keeping up the park that's across the street from their house. But unless the neighborhood kept it up, our city has not over the years. And the playground equipment is probably knocking on 30 years old. And those sets, those playground sets, are, for a small one, $50,000 to $60,000, and they go in excess of $100,000 to $200,000 for one playground set. So we can see why, over the years, our city hasn't upgraded 9 city parks. It's a huge job, endeavor, and a huge cost. But we are working to try and fix some of the sidewalk issues in some of these parks that are actually utilized. Many of the parks are not really utilized. There, a handful of people may go from time to time there, but we have a chosen few parks that are very well utilized, and I think it would make sense to put money into those parks that more people utilize, and then of course other people will go once we upgrade those parks to those same parks. But I know that people from all over this city and probably other cities on a daily basis, all day, utilize Levy Park constantly. And weekends, they have families that gather out there. They'll throw a blanket out on the ground and picnic and things. And so everybody uses that park. But the sidewalks are certainly an issue. Some of the parks, we're probably going to pull up the sidewalks because they're just not used as, I know, I'll give you one for instance, Huff Power Park. All that sidewalk does is hold the water in. It doesn't let the water get out of the park. It's a levee around the darn park. And so I'd like to pull that sidewalk up and leave grass there where it's safe to play. Microphone.
Okay, Huff Power Park being just down the street from my house, it's like, originally they put down things for you to bump your tires on. Some of that stuff's getting dangerous. It's
Yes.
broken, it's come apart. They've hit it until there's jagged edges on the pipe. We need to maybe look into doing something about it.
We can pull those up. I'll tell you that a few Saturdays ago, they were talking about Martin Luther King Park. And a few Saturdays ago, I got in the truck and pulled the excavator out there, unloaded the excavator, drove the truck back to Public Works and jumped in the dump truck, drove the dump truck to MLK Park, and I pulled up the water fountain, and I pulled up all of the piping. And then we had to cut the piping, and then I loaded it up. I pulled it out of the ground on Saturday. I had a friend of mine go out with a saw and cut them into pieces that I could load them into the dump truck with. And then the Sunday I went back and did the same thing with the excavator and went back, got the dump truck and loaded the dump truck. Then I brought the dump truck, parked it at Public Works, grabbed the truck and trailer and loaded the excavator. And then Wesley showed up Monday and the dump truck was full of iron pipe, but we got it done. And so we just removed them because you're right. Missy Zora asked if we just remove the pipe because they're not serving a purpose anymore. And so we need to do the same thing at Huff Power Park. Remove all those pipes from around
We find that the kids that go out there want to walk on it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at that like we're going to have a problem.
And that's what was happening at Martin Luther King Park. They were playing on the pipe instead of the playground equipment, so we removed it.
While it's dry. And don't pack it, just let it self-pack. Because let me tell you something, an inch of rain, that's it for the park.
You do realize that the center ditch passes underneath that park.
I'm familiar, everything runs through the west. Look, believe you me, I know. But the bottom line is just a little rain, you gotta cancel everything. So we need about a
Yeah, we can look to see where it's holding water, but again, underneath that park is a large box culvert, and that's where the city drains in that center ditch. It goes from on the east end, just north of Fifth Street, comes under Eastern, all underground. Well, not all underground. It comes under Eastern Underground, and then it opens up a little bit through the historic district. It's open ditch, and then it goes back underground, crosses East Hutchinson by some of that sewer pipe around L. It crosses Hutchinson, and then goes under Holmes and all the way, and it comes out, crosses around 7th Street at Parkerson, goes under the cleaners and all that area. It goes under there, and then it opens up on F between 7th and 8th Street. And it opens up and goes on the side of Ross Head Start, and that's all the same ditch, comes all the way from the east. And goes under the MLK Park by Ross Head Start, Jacob. No, sir. All that goes west. That's a different ditch that's by Shetler Corley. That's the north ditch.
Man, they're talking about, it's almost like a washout. It's where the playground, going towards, Becky's house. Where the concrete is high, everything kind of washed out because the natural gravity off of that mound, everything drains down and it just washed it out. They're correct, but that's the area, and when it rains, it just.
It holds water.
But I'd have to get some field dirt in there, and then I can get some of that dirt that I got to put on top. It's one of my ideas I got, I just hadn't got to it.
Yeah.
But it's probably more of a health issue if somebody hits the concrete playing in that area. But it's not a washout because I got in the culvert. It's just natural gravity washing the dirt
Pulling the dirt down.
into the ditch.
Yeah, okay.
You still have the concrete, those pieces of concrete in that, by Becky's house? Remember, we had it on about.
Yeah, MLK, Martin Luther King. That's the Martin Luther King part. Oh, well, no, there ain't nowhere for that. And if we put dirt around those oak trees, they're gonna die. I'm just saying, they're gonna die. We can't. Yeah, we can't put dirt over the roots of those oak trees. They will die. I mean, we gotta choose. I'm just telling you that we either have the oak trees there with shade at the pavilions, or we put dirt over them and let them die, and then you have no trees and no shade at the pavilions.
There's only a few trees right here. What, they might have, 4 trees? Kids need to play. They can't play in the water, okay? So I can care less about the damn oak tree and whatever, okay? They can cut them down as far as I'm concerned, all right?
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna. They got to pull each other, chief, you know what I'm talking about. Have to get records to pull them out of there. And I'm sorry, West, no, I call the Martin Luther King Park, the center is across from me. Well, if y'all gonna do pavilions, you can do it because if you raise the dirt up, it's gonna be over those slabs. No. We put ponds up. We put ponds. We actually put a 12-inch pond when we do things like that. No, you just said you was gonna put some pavilions out there. That's what I said. We put ponds.
Okay.
I'm talking about when you first drive in. Okay, all right, hey, we're gonna take this offline. We'll go out there and discuss it. I'm kinda like you, I get confused with all the names of the parks too, but, anything else? All right, we close recreation.
Thank you, sir. Let's see, zoning annexation, Alderman Martin, please. Alderman Reggie is not here. Yes, sir. Mike?
We do have a quorum. City Engineer Tim Mader. Okay, there been any questions? There be no questions? We out of here. We close it.
Thank you, sir. Public Safety, Alderman Core.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd call to order the Public Safety Committee. We have a quorum present with Alderman Wildridge and Reggie, both absent. We'll begin with reports. Chief of Police Troy Hebert.
In the month of March, our officers answered 748 calls, and we definitely seeing a trend of the call volume coming down. It's been coming down quite some time now. Each month it keeps getting lower and lower per the year before, so that's definitely a good thing. We had an increase of DWIs from my first year to my second year. We increased over 200% as far as for DWI arrests, and that trend looks like is continuing to grow. We're starting, as of the first of the year, we're starting to see more arrests than we have made previously. So that is definitely something that's on the rise. Unfortunately, our theft is still high. We had 43 thefts this past month, which is about equivalent to what was happening before. It is down from the years before, but at the same time, it's not a big enough margin to even talk about. And, I did meet with the sheriff over this past week. They did clear some room out in the jails to where we can start using some jail cells again to start arresting some of these misdemeanors, which I'm hoping that in the future is going to make a little difference, till we can get our jail done here. Some of the things y'all talked about also with the jail, if I can get some of these state prisoners and stuff too, they can also help framing these parks to pour the concrete to where the cost is real little when you just having to pay for the concrete and the wood to frame it, where your labor's free. And we do have a city contractor that can oversee the project, so we wouldn't have to spend a fortune just to do a little slab somewhere. In the month of March, they issued 110 traffic citations while on patrol, and they issued 969 TED violations. Total arrests, we had 67 for the month, which is pretty high. There's a lot of things that we've been doing at the office. One of the main things that y'all done to really stabilize the department was give the guys a raise. And man, I'm starting to see all kind of benefits from the raise, even down to with us being able to retain these officers. These officers are learning who our shooters are, who's the bad ones that we need to get a hold to watch. That knowledge we've been losing for so many years, and that pay raise definitely helped out in that field. My guys are learning everybody out there who they really need to watch, and it's really coming together. I thank y'all again for that raise. It was very well needed, and this is just some of the little things that I've noticed, and it's a major thing. When they know who's moving around out there at night and which ones to look for, it makes it a whole lot easier when you're looking at suspects and stuff. The rain, we talked about the flooding. One of the things I noticed, it does take, when you do have a rain come down very fast and as quick as it did, it does take the city time to bring barricades out. And they heavy, they got a lot to do, they bulky, they gotta get trailers, load them up on those trailers and get to the scenes, So I was thinking maybe if we can, maybe buy some 3-foot high cones and keep them at the office. That way when something like that does, at least the officers can put down some temporary cones to help block a road or something, it would be a lot easier on us if we'd have some at the department to where we could just throw in the trunk, pull out, block a road, go down there, block another road. So that's an idea I'm looking at. I'll be getting some prices together on that. That would make it easy till the city would have time to get out there with those bigger barricades. But, I mean, it definitely is a problem. You know, we have a lot of areas in the city that do flood, and it makes it, you know, almost, uncontrollable for us to watch every place that floods. There's a lot of places that flood. And then you get the cars go in there and they get stopped. We did have another car go down on us, so we pretty much out of cars right now. Hopefully these trucks won't take too long coming in. We will need to look for some more vehicles in the future, you know, hopefully in September or just before September. I know we briefly discussed, me and the mayor, about, you know, putting that in the budget to where we buy vehicles every year, to where we slowly replace the fleet moving out. So that's something that we're gonna need to look at, you know, for September. We may have to order some more to where in September they'll be in to rotate some more out. They're getting old, they're getting very expensive. Just a water pump on some of them cars are $3,000 just to replace the water pump. Yes, it's great. And none of the mechanics wanna take it on because it's so much work. The cameras, we're still fighting a little issue on who owns some of the poles. I'm having trouble. AT&T saying they're for Cleco saying they're for AT&T. So there's still a few locations we're discussing. I gave them some more information yesterday, so they're trying to run it down to where I can get moving on the other project where we're looking at 100 different locations. And some of the things that I am looking at in those cameras about doing 100 different locations throughout the city is the city parks. Those rails that were put up because years ago they were driving cars in the park, and those rails were put up to keep the people from driving in there. That's where something like the camera system would help out, being able to identify anybody that did go in the park and do damage. It also helps, you know, having a camera watching over you when your kid's playing and stuff, just more safety. And that is gonna be part of the plan too, moving future. As soon as I get these other ones done, I will be coming back to the council and presenting a plan to do the whole city, not just bad areas, but all the areas of the city. It is expensive, and, you know, we have been accumulating some money from the traffic detail, and I would definitely like to earmark that for the cameras. I mean, you know, we have to be smart with that money, and, you know, what better way than to use it for our citizens' protection.
Chief, do you think those cameras would also deter some of the theft activity that continues?
Yes, so wherever, the studies have been done, wherever you put a camera at, you have a 75% reduction in crime. However, if you do not do your whole city, it just moves over. So you have to do all of the city. You have to strategically place them out there to where you get the best coverage, to be able to identify suspects or different things moving around. And they're the best that's out there on the market today. There's no better system than what I'm looking at, and we're getting it cheaper than what you can buy one of the cheaper systems. So, I mean, I spent a lot of time working with those guys through Vicata, and they're eager to work with us. They're eager to get it going. We're also looking at things like where businesses can get involved, to where they can purchase cameras, put them in their business, and we can have access to it. It's simple like Walmart. Walmart will ban somebody from stealing where they can't go into Walmart, but yet if they walk into Walmart and they've been banned from there, it can automatically send us an alert to where we know to go to Walmart, that guy's not wanted there. Or if it's somebody that we had warrants on and we put them in there, anywhere that they seen in the city, it would automatically alert us as to that person that we have warrants on, and we know to go get them. It's truly remarkable, the things that it can do. And for us to be able to do it, and we can definitely do it in my time frame at the office, and it's something that I can do. We definitely have to get this done.
Chief, do you think the issues with the pole locations throughout the other locations you want to put the cameras at, the second phase, I guess, do you think we'll run into that, or are you kind of giving them AT&T or Clico those locations to get those identified about ownership and the use of them? not
Yes.
the pole
So
cameras?
Clico, AT&T referred us back to Clico, so Clico is sending the inspector out to each pole. I talked with him yesterday, and I gave him all the locations with the poles, their locations and stuff, and he's gonna see what he can do to come up with that. They definitely don't have any numbers on them or nothing like that, so I asked him, could it be the cable company's poles? Some of these poles have been there probably like that other one, 50 years, and I don't think nobody knows who they for. But AT&T definitely referred me back to Clico, so he's gonna do inspection on them all and see if he can come out with something. But if not, next case scenario would be that we can buy a pole, put it in the ground, and they'll come and wire it up for us. Those poles about $350 or something like that. If they don't let us use that one, or if we can't find out who it's for, I don't know. But there is routes that we can take to get the spots that we need.
Okay. Step, did you have a question?
Yeah, Chief, I remember, they gave each other poles. They had someone come here with, some device that they would put on poles to make your cell phones work a lot better. I remember that. You remember that, Jeff? Yeah, well, they put something, they started at Standard Mill Road, talking about it would boost your I guess your waves in your phone. It turned out to be a scam, but, well, they didn't come back. Yeah, you remember they telling people, if you see him on the pole, one guy said, if I see him on my pole, I'm gonna shoot him. So, but that was his personal pole.
We had to go, Tom had to do some work to
Right.
allow him to do that.
Right, and so, and Jeff, you remember, AT&T and all of them just said, hey, use the poles, because none of them was claiming them. They said, if we claim it, that means if something go wrong with it, we gotta fix it. So,
I wish they'd do that today,
Yes.
because they ain't telling the chief that. They actually want money too.
yeah, well, I don't know. I thought once they put them up, it becomes city property.
Put your mic on.
Clico rents their poles. It's not really expensive. It's like $25 a foot per year, per pole. A foot.
Of
yes.
use.
One foot on the pole. So my equipment's 12 inches tall, so we're only gonna pay for 1 foot. Yeah, I can go all the way around the pole within that foot. I can't.
Per foot
if-
that you use.
If I
of the
exceed
pole.
that foot, they'll charge me for 2 foot. It'll be $50 per pole. There is electrical fee. Every piece of equipment I put on there, I have to calculate how much it draws, how many amps it pulls, and they figure that out, and then they give you a set price. They don't put a meter on there, so you're not paying a meter fee and all that, so you're only gonna pay for what your equipment uses. And it's reasonable. It's still cheaper than what you can get it for. Now, AT&T, I don't know if they charge anything or not. That was just Clico. At one point, they were doing it for nothing, but New Iberia did a big project where they doing 100-something cameras. So they were donating the poles, sticking them on the side of their poles and running the wire to it, giving them the poles. But when New Iberia started doing it, and then we asked to do it, it's like, wait a minute, we're not doing it for free no more. And all your other cities are starting to get involved and get it done too. If they can afford it. It's very expensive. Like I said, they want like 20 grand a pole, and we doing it for 10. And then now I'm working out a deal with them where we're trying to get it for like 6,000 or 7,000 a pole, and maybe even a little cheaper. We're gonna see.
Thank you, Chief. I think Alderwoman Marks has a question.
Yes, Chief, you mentioned that this service would be offered to businesses to have a camera, and you would monitor that?
Yeah, they really got good.
My real question is, will you offer that to private citizens?
Yes, if they wanna do it, yes, it will be offered to everybody who wants to get involved. You can actually attach it to your camera systems. You can, like, let's say you had a camera system in your house and outside your house. You can actually hook it up and give us permission just to view the ones that are outside and not the ones inside. Or you may just want us to see a particular area outside. You can give us permission just to be able
With
to
that
view that.
camera.
Yeah, and still keep your privacy on yours, you know.
Right, let me ask you, this is kind of on the same subject, offering services, but relative to this past weekend, we had a homeless vagrant do trespassing unauthorized entry into a home in the District 2, and they were arrested and given a misdemeanor, and because there's no holding cell at the police department, they were released. The individual was very aggressive towards the homeowners and had a lot of fear, and they had to be patrolled in that area. Can you elaborate on that issue and how prevalent that is, that people are moving into these vacant, abandoned homes?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of homeless people out there in the city. I mean, you don't see them all because they in houses, they sneak in the back of some of these abandoned houses. The more that we go after and tear them down, the more you will be seeing them. The more issues we will be dealing with them, because they're gonna be moving, you know, they may move into a house, for instance, right now on Elm, they have a abandoned house out there. The guy lives in Texas, and they all been living in there, a lot of them. And I got with the mayor, and they're gonna be sending the letter and everything for that home. But, you know, now to put those guys out, the way they changed the laws, now you gotta give them, you gotta go through the eviction process and put them out. You know, if they just broke in there and entered it real quick, yes, you can remove them. But once they establish residency and live in there for several nights, then you have to go through an eviction process.
And they're squatters.
Yes.
But the homeless that go in there and then they become aggressive to the homeowners, they get arrested, and you have no holding place on the city. What do you do with them if they're violent? Do they end up getting put at the sheriff's jail?
I have talked to him, and he will take the prisoners moving forward. That's always been an issue with us, and that's why I stressed, you know, that we really need to look at getting our jail back to have some accountability for this. It's a major problem. You know, if somebody goes steal a lawnmower and eat your carport, you know, are we just gonna write them a ticket and send them on their way, and it's a $600 lawnmower? It's ridiculous. You know, there has to be accountability. The jail is really difficult to operate and run, but it's something that, you know, I'm willing to take on, willing to go through it, even though I know what kind of stress it's gonna leave me, but it's something that really truly needs to be done. And I do have the experience to do it, and I do have the capabilities of getting it up and running smooth for when I do retire, to where the next chief that does come in will have it all running, and he just have to maintain the
So it's
program that I put in
sustainable
place.
long-term once
Yes, ma'am.
that infrastructure is put into place for
Correct.
security.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
Dickie, you had a question for Chief?
To make. You know, maybe the mayor can get the clerk to maybe pull those franchise agreements for for Clico and AT&T to see when they expire, and see if we can do some amendments whenever they expire.
I'll tell you that, yeah, we certainly need to do that. I don't think Clico or AT&T or any of them will be, we'll look forward to renewing or negotiating agreements if I'm the mayor, because we're gonna get tough. I don't know how much time we have left for them. We can research it, but I think we still have a few years to go. But yeah, that's one of the things. hard to say one, many things, but that's one of the things would be, the police chief's gonna put his cameras on your pole, and you're gonna hook it up to the system. Why, that doesn't, it doesn't burn no electricity. I mean, we're talking about a camera that burns, I mean, it's very minimal, and it costs them nothing to have that on their pole. It's, but anyway, that's some negotiation stuff there, yeah, definitely.
Good point, Dickie. Okay, any other questions for Chief?
What it costs to have these officers certified through the UWI?
So several years back,
Yes.
we had a reduction in DWI arrests. And so the state come in and took our intoxilizer because there wasn't enough arrests being made for DWIs. I am gonna be working to get it back, part of that, you have, to be able to operate a intoxilizer 5,000 or whatever the new model is, they have to get training on that, and probably what you were talking about earlier, they couldn't find anybody that was certified to operate that intoxilizer. And that is a problem sometimes, but I've been sending people to school, getting trained. It just so happened that particular day, the officer that might have been on that shift that wasn't certified couldn't. They called the sheriff's office. They probably didn't have anybody certified. State police was probably busy. So it's something that we are working on. That's what I said. You did see our percentage increase over 200% from my first year to my second year. And this year we on average to break that even. So that's what I said, man. We've seen improvement all the way across the board throughout the office. But it's contributed to so many things. It's contributed to our TED program. It's contributing to the pay raise that y'all give with the stabilizing the department where these officers aren't leaving us like they were, to where it's starting to come together, and I'm really excited about our future. And I see us to be able to get way better numbers than what we have had, and we have great numbers. So I'm really looking forward to the future,
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate all
Thank
of
y'all.
you and your department does. We'll move on next to reports by Fire Chief Luis Romero and City Inspector Tony Duhon. Yes, ma'am, just a minute. I'm going to get to you. Fire Chief Luis Romero is out of state attending a training conference, and Mr. Tony Duhon is absent. He's on vacation. Now, I'd like to, is anyone from the public that would like to address the committee? Ma'am, if you could state your name and your address.
My name is Sandra Handy. My address is 1212 West 6th Street. I was here a year ago, and I'm back here again. When you was here, Mayor, you said you had gotten here 6 months, and things was gonna be done. I kept coming to the meetings, we never got nothing done. I'm back here about the same thing that Wes talking about, the water. And I'm mad. I fought for it when I came here a year ago, about the ditches need to be dug out, the drains need to be, the bayou, we getting hurricanes finna come through here. That little water we had, that ain't nothing if a hurricane come through. We need ditches dug out. The drain, I got pictures now in front of my house, and never flooded there. It start flooding there now in the last 6 years, because the drains they need to be cleaned out. The ditches need to be cleaned out. Ain't nobody doing it. I talked to you, Mayor. You told me to call Brent. I called Brent. Brent, he working on 16th Street. He worked there for almost 6 months on 16th Street. I kept calling him. I said, when you gonna get to 1212 Street? Never did get there. Now water now, it's taking over in West Crowley. I live there, I pay taxes there, and I want something done there. Y'all talk about all these other places and water running. Yeah, I wasn't living here, but I was visiting. When the water came through, over there Head Start, over there on the Ford, all that was underwater. People lost all homes and everything. Were we looking for that again? That's what you want? What we people need to come here for if you're not going to do anything and help us. Water this time was in people's houses. I rode around. You ought to seen all the trash that came from the ditches was in people's yard. If Wes is in charge, well, why he's not out there digging these ditches? And this ain't just started. When I talked to Martin a year ago, he said he had been fighting for it for 2 years. 2 years? And nothing still in there? I don't see a ditch dug out. Grass and took over. My neighbor, he cleans his own.
That's what's supposed to happen. So the property owner is supposed to cut the grass.
But what about the ones with the
and
pipes
clean-
and everything on?
Okay, let me explain something or try to explain something. So I'll tell you that I take offense to you saying that Wesley hasn't done anything.
But I'm
Because I
talking about-
promise you, Wesley has been digging ditches. Wesley dug more ditches since he's been the street commissioner than has been dug in many years, okay? I don't know, I can bring you to those ditches and show you all across the city the ditches that have been dug in the past year and a half that Wesley's been here, but I
just found out that he was the one in charge. I thought Brent was still in charge.
No, ma'am. So digging ditches isn't always what is required. You're right, there's a lot of trash in some of these ditches.
Yes, it is.
But the city does not have the manpower and can't afford hiring enough people to clean out a ditch of trash and grass. That is not for the city to do. That is for the property owner to do. The property owner has to keep the grass cut to the edge of the road. Now, if the ditch needs to be dug or the culvert needs to be cleaned out, then certainly that's where the city comes into play. But I'll ask you this, and we've gotten a lot of complaints over the past week or 2 weeks now since that large rain we had. There is no ditch that we can dig in this city that would have prevented the water from getting on the roadways, in the yards, and in the few homes that it got into in our city. There's no ditch that could have been dug in this city that could have prevented that. There's no drainage system designed to take on that much water. As far as for the bayous and the canals, the city owns none of that and has no rights to dig any of those things. I agree that some of that stuff does need to be cleaned out. Wesley actually went on his days off looking at some of these drain ditches, the main fallouts where our water within our city goes to. He got on his own four-wheeler and took pictures so that he can share with the drainage board and the parish and even the state if we need to show them where some of this water is slowing down. But what's important to remember is with that rain that we had 2 weeks ago now, 2 Saturdays ago, thank God this past Saturday it didn't happen again. It was supposed to, but it passed us. What happened then, what I tell people is to look at that ditch when it stops raining. Not while it's still raining, because it's still pouring down the water into that ditch and it cannot handle it anymore. Honestly, I saw the little smoker pots with the little stem on it. That thing floated across Parkinson from East 7th. It floated across Parkinson onto West 7th. I don't know where it went. It disappeared behind the buildings. But there was that much water flowing. But if the water is flowing in the ditch and goes away after the rain stops, the drainage is working. It is working. One thing to remember when we dig a ditch, if you don't dig that ditch, if we start at your house, whatever your address is, if we start at your house and we don't dig that ditch all the way to the bayou or the canal that it drains into throughout the neighborhood, down the street, around the corner, 6 or 8 blocks down the road, then your ditch is going to hold water because it's not going to continue to flow all the way to the end. Just because there's grass in ditches doesn't mean it needs to be dug. The culverts need to be exposed, and a lot of them we've cleaned out, I promise you, have had so much trash in them It's unbelievable, the trash that's in there.
Okay, can
And
I
I
say
promise you that Wesley has been cleaning out culverts
Can I
and
say
digging
something?
ditches since he started.
Can I
Yes,
say
ma'am.
something?
Yes, ma'am.
What you're saying, like the pipes and everything. So you telling me I need to go in that pipe and clean it out?
That is not what I said.
But this, you want me to see the picture? I got pictures.
That is,
And every time it rains, I don't care what kind of rain, it floods on that street.
yes, ma'am. That
It
is not, I did
floods.
not, if you listen to
Because-
what I said the cleaning the ditches of grass and trash is the property owner's responsibility. For us to go and clean the culverts, yes, the city needs to clean the we have.
I
we-
have
you
cleaned them. I have taken it off and got down there and cleaned it with my shovel and stuff to try to make it go through. I don't have to stand up here and say, okay. I've been doing this, and it's still flooding up. It's 2 blocks long. It's no ditch. It's a pipe run all the way through, so I know it's stopped up.
What's your
somewhere.
what's your address?
1212 West 6th Street.
West 6.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, okay. That's between Moore and
I'm right
yes.
there by Moore and Stagg.
Yes,
right
ma'am.
there.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, but
We're
we're supposed to have.
Wesley, we'll go look at it tomorrow.
And I'll be home tomorrow,
Okay.
please.
Yes,
Knock
ma'am.
on my door.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but we want to give the citizens 3 minutes, and, you know, that's been kind of
Yeah.
used up. But again, the mayor was communicating
Yeah.
with you.
It's a big difference between the open ditch. The problem is,
But-
have a camel truck.
Yep. Put your mic on.
Okay, we had a camel truck at one time. They used to go clean out all the culverts. What she's talking about is 100% true, because it's right there by a family property. Those culverts needs to be dug out. Now, Rain loaned the city their invention. What happened with that? I'm just asking, okay? And it's made to clean out the culverts. Until you clean out the culverts, that water will not flow.
Well, has a work order been put in for your cleaning of your
But
culvert?
it's all over the city though, right? It's not just her.
Well,
It is
but-
all over the city.
Right,
We need to clean all of them out.
right. And we had a torrential rain
That's it.
that the
But
system,
this is not just the rain we had this time.
yes, ma'am.
It was like that when I came a year ago.
Okay,
Okay, and I kept coming. Y'all kept talking about it, calling Brent. I kept calling. Nothing ain't been done. I've been still going through it. I've been trying. I'm a homeowner. I want to keep my block and my street clean.
yes,
You
ma'am.
know, I
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
want it flooded in my yard, and
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can't get out to my car. Okay,
but-
I want things done.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
I'm paying taxes for? Y'all saying that? Well,
Well-
he ain't supposed. I'm supposed to get out there and dig. This
No.
man here.
No, ma'am.
He's my neighbor. He cleans his ditch out, and I'm glad to see him do it. But he does it but then he got other ditches there on the cross from me on the same side.
Well, if-
What you want to see the pictures?
No, I'll take your word for it, but what I'm saying is.
He
that-
couldn't even get out his house.
Yes, ma'am. To get something done, if you know that culverts are plugged up, you need to have your councilman put in a work order for the location, and then the city will go out there and
I
clean the
have to
culvert.
spray that killer grass and everything, keeping grass from growing in there and stuff. What is the city supposed to do by the ditches? We didn't have this problem long years ago. West Crowley ditches was clean. It's grass in all of them. The water can't go nowhere. And there's grass all in there and growing up that high in the ditch.
Yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, we, the citizens, need to maintain the ditch all the way up to the road in front of our properties. That's our responsibility. Well, that may have been the case, but state law requires property owners.
So you're telling me all these ditches that in West Crowley that got all this grass in it, abandoned houses, and it's a lot of abandoned houses, what's going to happen to those ditches? There's nobody going to clean them out. They can't clean them.
Well, when you say clean them, if they need to be dug,
They're
that would be the city.
All right, where have the city been? Because they've been like this for over a year.
Like, and the process is to put a work order in to
Who has to put it?
either the citizen or your councilman.
Well, he's my councilman.
Okay.
And he said he been dealing with it for 2 years. When I talked to him
Right.
last year.
Because.
And ain't nothing been done in the year now, since
Well,
I've been
then
mayor.
those work orders need to be looked into to see why they weren't completed.
Question so y'all can stop saying the same thing.
Go ahead,
Y'all
Wesley.
both saying the same thing and y'all both are right. Y'all absolutely right. I've been trying to say this over and over for a whole year. It's been neglected for 20 years. Yes. In 1 year, I have dug more ditches
Yes, that's what I told.
all over town
Yes.
than they did in 20 years. The engineer was right here. While I gave my speech, I said, I think I'm part of the problem of some of the canals overflowing so fast because I'm doing too good of a job. I promise you, I'm on it. I'm two
I
blocks-
heard you say you had never
I'm two
seen
blocks-
that much water
I'm 2
and
blocks from
stuff.
your house. I just finished.
I know where you live.
I strategically find different neighborhoods and find out where the water needs to get out. I gotta start at the bottom for it to run out. Y'all just gotta trust me. We don't have enough people to do the whole city of Crowley at
I'm
one time.
trusting you, but
My house, I had the same
this is
water
what
in my
I'm
house.
understanding. When hurricane time, we've been blessed.
There's nothing I can do about it.
We've been blessed. We haven't had hurricane hit here. We haven't had water to be in our town like some of these towns.
I'm trying to be honest and tell you the honest truth that none of these don't tell you.
Hire more people then.
We don't have the money.
Yeah.
I'm trying. The mayor.
I wish we could hire more people. I wish we could
Well,
replace.
I'm 80 years old and I'll get out there and do something
Yes,
to
ma'am.
pay me.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that's,
Look, I was on the cable system today.
the,
I'm digging ditches every day.
by the way, Step, the rain
Canal today.
program thing that you were talking about, they used it today. They used it today. This afternoon, after lunch, they had the cables and stuff in the pipe. The work is being done, but like Step said, there's 20 years of neglect that we have not been able to correct in 2. We just haven't had the time to do it.
Ms. Sandra, thank you for addressing the committee, and we hope that the problem will get the attention that it
And that's
needs.
not the only problem. I will be back next. Even when he talking about the poles, how can you take somebody, the light up there that for your block and put a light on there to shine on one person building? That's wrong. We need lights too. He talking about things bad in here. Police talking about how bad. Yes, it's bad. When you ain't got your block is dark.
Yes, ma'am. So if there's no street light on your block,
Then I
then we,
took it and put it one of those lights to shine on one person.
that's,
that
so,
one person thing.
so
property.
here's what you're talking about. I called Clico and asked them to change the street lights a block away from your house where the Boys and Girls Club is.
That's what I'm right there.
Because as Step talks about the children all the time and their safety,
Where's the stop
that
sign?
is what it's for.
Where the
It's
stop
because
sign?
those kids come and go at dark to
That's-
that location.
all right.
And so we lit that part, that block up
Did
for
he
when
put a
those
camera
kids
there?
come
He
and
put
go.
A camera? Put a camera right there by
At the Boys and Girls
Where
Club.
cars and the bikes come down there 90 miles an hour. I mean, it's a lot of things that I could bring up. It's not done. But y'all doing what y'all want to do for certain people. We all need to do the same thing. I pay tax, everybody there pay tax. I want things done. And stuff, I don't want to wait no 2 years, 3 years. I ain't going to be here that long. And stuff. I'm asking God to keep me here, but I don't know. I just moved back here. I've been gone 50 years. That's my parents' house. And I want to make sure things stay right with it. I'm one day going to take care of it. I don't care about the people got houses falling down and not doing nothing.
Ms. Sandra, we have to move on with the
Well,
meeting.
move on then.
But I appreciate you coming, and we would definitely
And
will
do
look at your
something about it.
concerns. Step.
Yeah.
Please state your name and your.
Gretchen Young, and I live at 1608 Lenny Johnson. And we talked about accountability. The years that I have been coming here, I've been talking to the mayor, mayor, past mayors, city councilmen.
Spoken to me several
talked to
times.
Mr. Brad.
Yep.
But I just come for help. I'm just coming for help. This situation has been going on and on. time is passing, and I have children. Now I'm having grandchildren, and the situation is getting to be dangerous. Illegal car. I know if you've been on the council, you've heard me. Illegal car work on my corner, and it's bringing situations that's dangerous. About 3-4 weeks ago, they had 2 shootings. The children, they don't know who they were shooting at, but they were running in and out of these cars. People are standing in these abandoned cars. They're blocking the traffic flow. We stay on the dead-end street. You know what
Oh,
you know
yes,
what I've been
ma'am.
talking about.
I know exactly
And
what
I've
you're
been
talking
here over and over and years and years and years, and it's getting worse. I'm afraid to come outside. They're not just there. They're getting a lot of benefits. He's getting a lot of benefits because he's making money. He whatever else that goes on over there. So I'm just asking for help again.
Yes, ma'am.
That someone would come, consistent. He may move the cars. He's on somebody's property across the street. It's just like a whole parking lot.
He's taken
He's
over
taking
other
over
properties.
he's taking over, and it's dangerous, Mayor. It's dangerous. They have I talked to Mr. Andrews today about that camera, and I'll pay for a camera to be put on a pole so you can constantly see what's going on. Cars all over the place.
We all had,
No,
all
it's not
were
being resolved.
informed. Well, the police have gone out there. Well, and that's the problem. They're operating a commercial automotive repair shop there in
Right.
a residentially zoned
Right.
area. And what happens is that, and Tony Duhon has been out there, but
Yeah.
as the city prosecutor said, for every day there's a violation, then to be a citation. I mean, it's simple as that. It's got to be.
And guess what? The citations about.
He has, and
guess
he come to
says
court
about-
multiple times.
Yeah, he has come, but there's nothing being done about it. And I'm just coming for help because he has cars parked all here. You don't know what's with the illegal activity, drug activity, urinating outside. These people, I'm staying by myself, coming outside. Men, you don't know where they're coming from.
Let me,
And it's just.
Can you-
I'm scared. I am scared. I'm scared for me, my children, my grandchildren, and it's getting to be.
I want to ask you to
So.
call me tomorrow, and the reason I can't talk about it publicly is because I'm working on a employee issue. And so, come talk to me tomorrow if you don't mind.
I don't mind me.
I want to let you know what I'm working on. You know, Wesley was explaining just now, our problem. And it's a problem across the
Yes.
board on many, many different issues throughout the city. And I hate saying this because I don't want anybody to think that I'm talking bad about any previous administration, because I'm not. But the problem is we've had many years, you said it just now, you've been having this problem for many years.
Right.
Many years of neglect on a lot of stuff.
Right.
I'll tell you that I never wanted to be the mayor. I never had the vision of being the mayor one day. I had a career at the fire department, and I wanted to retire there with 30 plus years as a firefighter. But I saw the need, and I gave up that career, and I ran for mayor. And I'll tell you that if I could go back to the fire department today, I'd be happy. I'd be very happy. But I don't want to give up on our city, because we do have some good things going on, and we are working toward fixing some of these problems. It just takes a very long time. And I'll tell you, part of a fraction of the problem is because I'm having to learn the process as we go. And I'm not going to talk, again, I can't legally, I can't talk about employees or whatnot, but if you've noticed, there's been some changes in the past 2 years. And, you know, I have to depend on city employees to do the duties that are required. I can't be the mayor without city employees. It takes them to do the work. Although I get out there and do some work, it really takes a city employee. So I don't expect you to be any more comfortable today than you were yesterday or a year ago or 5 years ago. But I do want to talk to you and let you know what I'm working on and what I'm trying to do, and explain to you where we're at in the process. There's a lot of things going on that are changing, and things are going to start moving at a faster pace. It just takes time to get to that point where they start moving. I'll tell you, I pass by your house, well, not in front of your house because it's a dead end, but I pass by the junkyard, what I call it,
Yeah.
because that's what it is. It's a junkyard.
And he's
Often.
making money.
I pass by it often, and I know what the problem is, and I've got to fix it. And that's what I can't discuss here, but I'll be happy to talk with you tomorrow. Please call me so I don't forget about it, because I'd like to talk to you about it. I'll go sit with you at your house if you want. We'll visit about it. But I agree, something needs to be done with that. He has come to court, multiple court dates. He comes to court. Once we issue the violation and he gets his court date, the only thing we can do is stand up there at that microphone and ask the judge to do it as much as she can. And then of course, there's laws and statutes. There's only so much that, she can't give the man 20 years in jail because he's working on cars in his house. You know, so
But
there's regulations
it's a city
there.
ordinance, it's in a residential area. Anything
know.
could happen. They're bringing cars from anywhere, junk
Yes,
cars,
ma'am.
big old trailers.
He's taken over
and
3 or 4
just-
lots over there.
Yes,
Yeah.
so what is
Please call me
wrong?
tomorrow.
So please,
Please. Mr. Martin, put your microphone on, please.
Go ahead, Mr.
Mike,
Martin.
we got a law against that. It's called a nuisance law, okay? That's a nuisance. You say he been to court how many times?
Multiple, at
Well, he
least
should
2 or
be
3
evicted from
times.
that damn house. It don't make no sense.
No.
This person here been here, I want to say at least 10 times,
yeah.
going back since I've been on the council.
And her and I have
Right.
visited
Yes.
numerous times.
And what makes it real bad is the fact that I thought that was resolved last year, because Byron called me and Tony was supposed to have given him 10 or 12 citations and trying to move the house, the cars.
And I
So
can't-
he's a nuisance. He need to be treated as
Yeah.
one.
And if you can't sit on your porch without hearing a
Don't
big
make
old
sense.
air, just noise, zoom. If you can't sit
Yeah,
on
his
your
air
porch,
compressor.
and you can't go with big old, and it's just big old cars parked in front of your house,
No, you're correct. They're blocking the street surface.
blocking the
You
streets.
can't
And the thing
see
about it
oncoming
is,
traffic.
the people that's there, he's telling them, no, we are wrong. We are wrong. And they want to fight. They cursing and looking at us, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
your neighbor.
I've had discussions with him also. I know
I'm your
what he
neighbor.
says. I know what he
I'm
says.
I'm your neighbor. I've called the chief too. When they were back, but the shooting the other day was ridiculous.
No,
It's really sad. It's really sad. It should be something done.
Call me tomorrow, please. Please call me tomorrow. Let's visit.
Thank you
on
for hearing me.
Thank
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
Mrs. Young. Appreciate it. Okay, next we'll move on. Anyone else like to address the committee? Please state your name and address for the record.
Howdy. My goodness, it's a lot of stuff. My name's Teresa Richard. I guess you'll remember me from last month. I live at 1005 East 7th Street here in Crowley, and good grief, I think we're all on the same page here tonight with all of these complaints, because it seems like they all sort of dwindle down into our issues with code enforcement, and code enforcement taking any sort of action and doing any sort of thing. Good evening again. My name is Teresa. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'd like to give you an update on where things stand since I spoke to you last month regarding blight enforcement, particularly regarding the 30 properties that were brought before the council back in November of 2023. At that meeting, you'll remember 15 of the 30 properties were condemned. The other 15 went into limbo. Those 15 properties were given between 90 and 180 days to be brought up to code or demolished. Since then, 2 were voluntarily torn down by their owners, but 13 of those 15 continue to stand today. Most are in worse condition than they were back in November of 2023. In January, the city restarted condemnation process on 5 of the 15 properties, started it all over from scratch, saying the original notices hadn't been filed at the courthouse timely. And because of the long delay in the process, it had to start over from scratch. You'll remember us talking about that last month, and you'll remember that the city attorney told us that that wasn't necessary. So those 5 properties were brought to blight court. New judgments were filed at the courthouse, finally on March the 21st, which is a step forward. There were also some bids received to remove these structures, but there is no indication that final notices have gone out to the owners. After 2 months, I guess 3 months now. And of course, the city can't move forward with any demolitions until that step is complete. Now, in February, 5 more properties started over from scratch, also from the original 30, went before the hearing officer. There's no confirmation that those rulings were ever filed at the courthouse or that the property owners were ever notified, so it's hard to know where those properties stand in the process. We say they're in limbo. In March, 6 additional properties were condemned in blight court. Sadly, those rulings had to be voided because notices weren't sent out in time. April's hearing, which would have been this month, has been canceled altogether because code enforcement could not get the notices out in time. The city says hearings will resume in May. I hope so. I'd like to acknowledge the progress we've seen. The courthouse filings and some bids are a step forward, but overall, it still feels like we're running in place as dangerous and dilapidated structures continue to pose a risk to the public. They're all still standing. Nothing's come down. I understand this process isn't fast, but once a property is condemned, it shouldn't take months and months and months to bring it down. There are just a few basic steps. File the ruling at the courthouse. Send the final notice. Request bids. Choose a contractor. Schedule a demo. It's pretty simple. But every month seems to bring a new explanation for why this process has stalled. And I appreciate that there are complications that do come up, but at some point we've got to move past excuses and we have to start showing outcomes. That's why I'm asking the city this evening to adopt a public-facing tracking system, just a simple spreadsheet listing each property and noting the date each step is completed. That would include when the hearing was held, when the notice was sent, when it was filed at the courthouse, bids received, demo schedule, et cetera, et cetera. That would go a long ways towards restoring the public's trust in this process and that it is not being mismanaged. I understand also there's talk of a new tracking system being considered, and that's great. But right now, we need something that forward faces the public so that we can see what's going on, and that is as simple as a free Google Sheet. It wouldn't cost the city anything. Google Sheets are free, and it would give the council and the public a clearer picture of what's happening. I don't know if you guys know, and I doubt very seriously that the community realizes, that this city budgets $660,000 a year to code enforcement. $660,000 a year. But right now, code enforcement doesn't issue citations. Notices don't go out on time, inspections have to be farmed out, and blight has taken over this city because the system is not functioning the way it should. And so we need to ask, what are we really getting for that humongous amount of money? $660,000. And you can't take one house down in 2 years. We all want a safer, cleaner community, so let's make the system work better. Let's get that forward-facing spreadsheet there for the public to see what's going on. I want to thank you again for your time and attention, and I look forward to updating you again next month. So we'll see how far we've come then. We'll see how much safer we can make the community for these people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Richard. Appreciate you being here. Okay, next, we will move on to action items. We have a request from Fire Chief Louis Romero for an appropriation of $30,000 from the general fund to cover equipment repairs that have exceeded his budget line item, and to defer the matter to Revenue and Finance Committee for further consideration. However, today I was notified that the generator at the Central Fire Station is also in need of repair at a cost of $6,650. Therefore, I'd like to amend the appropriation to the amount of $36,650. And I so move.
Brad, could you just do 40
Oh, sure, Mayor.
instead of 36, 6, whatever?
Right, and yes, and I think
Just
they're
do 40,000.
Okay, all right.
You don't mind?
Sure, no, not at all. I'll amend that to $40,000, and that will probably get the repair amount covered throughout the rest of the budget period. Other repairs that will
Let's
come
hope.
up.
Let's hope.
And again, to defer that to Revenue and Finance for further consideration. And I so move. I have a second by Alderman Doré. Discussion? I just wanted to add that I do have a quote for the generator repair that was presented to me. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. On the discussion items, we have a letter that the chief received from Lions Point Fire Department requesting the donation of Fire Engine 5 in the event it becomes classified as surplus equipment. Fire Chief Romero is in favor of the donation because the pump does not operate properly. My response to that request is that I would like to have an estimate of the cost to repair the pump for proper operation and to determine the current value of this fire truck to justify if it should be classified as surplus or could be sold to recoup some or all of the $30,000 or $40,000 requested for the repair line item in the chief's budget. Mayor, is that something we can?
Yeah. Yes. So the fire chief, I think, already has a quote on fixing it. The pump does work, but what has to happen to put that truck in pump, you have to kill it, put it in gear, and crank it, and then put it in pump, and then crank it back, and then it's in pump. To take it out of pump, you have to turn the truck off, take it out of pump, and then crank the truck again for it to be out of pump. It's some device on the truck, and that's one of the trucks that we're getting rid of. So the chief felt that we could operate it in that fashion for the short period of time that we did. The two new trucks are in service. They are on the road now. And so it was I don't remember the price tag on that repair, but it wasn't something that we wanted to spend that much money on and get rid of the truck in a few months. So the pump itself does work. There is a company, an auction company, that keeps calling the fire chief looking look, Lions Point Fire Department certainly could use all the help they can get. They do not collect much money when it comes to, they collect $25 per meter in their district, and that is nothing. That is very little. So they don't have much of a budget, certainly not enough to buy a new truck. The fire chief said that they showed up on scene of a fire the other day with one of our old trucks, Unit 12, which was, I don't know, it's an 80s model fire truck. So they certainly need the help, but at the same time, when you're flying in an airplane, the steward tells you to put your oxygen mask on before you help your neighbor. And we need some oxygen here in the way of money. The fire department, the police department, the street department, the sewer department, recreation. We have so many things that have been neglected and not repaired and not replaced for far too long. Any money we get for those trucks would come back to us, and it would certainly, the fire chief's going to need some gear before long. He's going to need. I mean, there's a lot of needs in our city for our employees and our departments, and to serve our citizens. I'm good with whatever y'all decide. I hate saying that we need to sell it instead of give it away to Lions Point, but that's probably, I agree with you.
And Mayor,
let's see
certainly I
what we
want to
can get
help
for it.
our surrounding communities, and if we had the financial ability, and we didn't have any, we had surplus funds in some of these budget line items or departments, and certainly would feel good about giving it, but we have to look at Crowley first. And the taxpayers here, we're taking money out the general fund to cover these repairs and other things that come up, and I think that we owe our citizens duty first, and then
I agree with
if we can help other communities, absolutely. And again, it's just a discussion item. Item 2, citizens have requested a four-way stop at the Thomas Park and an update on the review of this area by Chief Troy Hebert. And we're talking about the 7th, 8th Street, East 7th, 8th Street
Yeah,
Park.
I looked at it a little more. Still not enough time to do a full evaluation. I'm for anything for protecting our youth. I'll say that first and foremost. At the same time, I'm not really for stop signs, but when it comes to parks, in the youth, I could not be against it if we, because it's always about the youth and protecting our kids. But at the same time, we also need to look at, as far as for speeders in that area and stuff, yes, I did look at that. And there is some room with the rolling stop signs that we had and the speeders in the area. However, if we do stop that traffic, put the stop signs, do we divert more cars to different areas that create more issues? So that's some things that, I need to try to look at and establish, does it create a problem somewhere else if we do stop the traffic that's flowing on that street now and move them somewhere else? Does it cause a problem elsewhere? So, if I could at least have another month to try to look at that too, to see where that traffic would be diverted if they quit coming. It's kind of like the same thing at the park on 4th Street. Did y'all notice being some of y'all live on that street, did y'all notice the traffic not being as much? Was it diverted elsewhere?
I don't think it's less. Certainly,
What I have seen, I live right there by the park, and the mayor does too, of course, but before those four-way stop signs were put, you had traffic on Southeastern Avenue approaching 4th and 3rd Street, seeing that the light was red, especially during the 5 o'clock traffic. And then individuals, instead of sitting there waiting on the light and turning right on the 2nd Street, they would jump onto 3rd Street and rush on down by the park or 4th Street. And so I think that that traffic has definitely slowed down as far as at those time periods. You don't see as much because now they know if the four-way stop signs are there, they avoid that. They will just wait for the light. So I think that aspect has helped.
Didn't y'all originally do the four-way at Third and Fourth, but not Fifth?
Right.
And then the traffic diverted down Fifth, and then we made a decision to also do something on Fifth.
Well, we didn't make any decision on Fifth. What we did find is that by the time that the vehicle on Eastern Avenue was heading south, by the time they passed up Fifth Street, and then the traffic was backing up to Third and Fourth, they were already past Fifth, so they weren't diverted down Fifth.
Yeah.
So there's a certain, yeah, southbound. Right.
The westbound traffic, yeah. The southbound traffic on Eastern would use Third and Fourth to avoid the light. And head west. Obviously, you don't have that on 7th and 8th Street. And also, 7th and 8th Street has a stop sign 1 block from the park. 3rd and 4th did not have.
Mayor,
it
if
was
I
2
could
blocks.
speak and address that similar issue. We have a four-way stop at Avenue K, and after that, it's a free flow to Avenue H. And one of the issues is that because of the broken sidewalks in the Thomas Park, there are people that are walking on the street. Now, during the day, it's well marked with huge letters in white, slow down, and park. So it's got a lot of visibility, but not at night. And it seems there's a lot of people taken to doing their recreation and walking and jogging around that park. So at Avenue K, it is a free flow to Avenue H, and that's where the issue becomes.
Chief, maybe look at the option, when you're looking into it, maybe look at the option for a stop sign on the west end of the park instead of all 4 corners of the park. That would give 2 blocks in each direction. But the other thing to remember is to accommodate recreation after dark is against our city ordinance.
Right.
Parks are closed at sunset. So
The
there's no
parks can
recreation that's
remain
supposed to be allowed.
open
No, ma'am.
Until 8, that's
No, ma'am.
according to city ordinance.
Sunset.
Well, which is it, sunset or 8 o'clock? Because it does not say sunset in the ordinance.
What does it say?
It says or, 8 o'clock or dusk, or if there's lights in the tennis court, 10 p.m., and that's ordinance.
So it specifically says lights on the tennis court, it's at 10?
10 p.m., yes,
That's
sir.
for the use of just the tennis court.
tennis
You can't
That's
be-
right, they can be in the park until 10
Well, you
o'clock
can
with
be
the
on-
lights
On the tennis court?
Well, you could be on a tennis court, not
Yeah.
in the park.
Yeah.
Well, the tennis court, it's in the park.
Well, I'm
I mean,
talking
that's
about,
semantics. Where do you put the tennis court, on the street?
Yeah, but not on the playground equipment, not on the,
you can't be in the playground
yeah.
equipment, you can be on the tennis court where it's lighted.
And that's what it says in city ordinance, not and
Okay.
or.
Also, she is right as far as for people walking down the street there. While
Oh,
I was sitting
absolutely.
there, they walk right past me and looked in my truck.
Yeah.
So, they definitely walk on the street there, around the evening time, dusk, because of the, heat, I'm sure, or to get off work and they go walking. My secretary actually walks in that area also.
And that's perfectly, on the sidewalk, yeah, that's not off limits, to walk on the sidewalk after dark, as long as you're not inside.
Sidewalks are broken and unsafe.
Yeah, and we've already met with
And
the
we've
All
already
across the
addressed
city.
that. That's right. So it's a dilemma right now because we can't dictate to people that they cannot walk on the street if they're falling off and breaking their ankles on the sidewalk. And we're not in the business of dictating to people where they can recreate. And there are people walking up down 7th and 8th Street, and they have for years. That's not our job to tell people where they can or cannot recreate.
Yeah, there is a law, if a sidewalk is provided, you must walk on the sidewalk and not in the roadway.
Yes. Okay, anything else to come before the committee? And then the committee recesses. Thank you.
All right, let's see. Public buildings, Alderman Dory.
Thank you, Mayor.
Wait just a second before we gloss over this real quick. There was no, this comes under discussion. What are we gonna do with it? Bury it? Are we gonna discuss it again next month? How are we gonna address that? I know that Brad had mentioned that a study would have to be done, or the chief said he is, if there's a safety issue, and when negating to look at it, someone gets hit on the road, are we gonna say, we're not responsible? I just don't wanna blow over that because there's no obvious solution today. And I just wanted to go on record.
Well,
Chief, I think you
the
said
matter
you
with,
needed a month. You wanted another month.
excuse me,
But I would like to look at how much traffic is actually flowing and see if we did put something there to slow them down, would they take an alternative route? Same thing like on Fifth Street, how much cars is actually using Fifth Street now? And some of that I'm gonna use as Fifth Street to see how many wrecks we had at that intersection around there, you know, with the more populated area. Just to give me a broad idea. I do like to look at numbers and stats. I mean, I kind of live by that.
And that's okay, I can live with that, as long as we address it. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but because there are people out there walking, we owe it to the public to address a safety concern.
and I just want to state that the item was a discussion item, but it was not an action item. So there was no prerogative to take action on this item tonight. It was simply, and whoever added it to the agenda evidently was a discussion item. But to take action, it needs to be an action item where we would vote on something to occur. And hopefully we could do something next month. Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else to discuss, I will open public buildings and let the record show that a quorum is present. Under action items, to approve the application for payment number 5 to Prestige Construction Company Group LLC for Park and Pavilion Project Crowley in the estimated amount of $81,129.38. We have a motion by Mr. Latchley. Any second?
I'll second it.
And Mr. Bradford. Any more discussion?
Yes.
What's that? That's the pavilion.
No, but
Oh, okay.
I've been passing there for months, and I don't see nothing going on over there. Maybe it's me, I don't even see workers over there. That was brought to my attention, and I started passing by it, and same old, same old. Now, I don't know what's going on.
I could have brought that to your attention too, because I asked the same question. What's going on? Where's the workers? When it was dry, why are they not working? I know that they did some subsurface work, subsurface drainage work that needed to be done. You know, there's some shop drawing. There's some. My understanding is there's a lot of, I guess, paperwork, so to say, that they're getting done. The shop drawings and getting those approved and all of that mess. But no, I asked I asked the same question multiple times. I mean, they got dust flying and y'all ain't working. I mean, y'all better take advantage of the dry weather.
And Mayor, I had the same question. Do they have, what the amounts based on for the work
Yes.
that was performed? I'd like to see
Yes.
that maybe by next week.
Okay, all right, we can. I got that in an email. I can send it to y'all.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do you want to move it on to the next meeting? All in favor?
All right.
All opposed? Motion passes. And with no other items to discuss, I will close.
Thank you, sir. Insurance and Personnel, Alderwoman Marks, please.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. There is a quorum for the Insurance and Personnel Committee. At this time, there are no reports, nor action items or discussion items. Unless anyone has a discussion item, Anyone? Then the committee recesses.
Thank you, ma'am. Community Economic Development.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The Community and Economic Development Committee will come to order, and we do have a quorum present. There are a number of things going on within the city that I will quickly mention. From our City of Crowley Tourism Director, the Rice City Car Show will be this Saturday, April 12th, beginning at 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. Persons can check the City of Crowley Facebook page for details. From Crowley Main Street, A Taste of Crowley, held on Thursday, March 27th, was very successful and enjoyed by many people. The Stay Golden Sip and Stroll, a Golden Girls themed spring event, which was formerly the Art and Wine Stroll, will be on Saturday, May 3rd, beginning at 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. in downtown Crowley. Tickets can be purchased on site at this event. Main Street staff members are attending the National Main Street Conference in Philadelphia this week, and they look forward to bringing back some new ideas and projects. From the Acadia Parish Chamber, Friday, April 11th is their annual golf classic at Bayou Bend Country Club. The Crowley Garden Club will hold their annual flower show on Thursday, April 24th and Friday, April 25th at Bank of Commerce. The public is invited to attend at no charge, and they're asked to bring any cuttings from their yard or garden and possibly be recognized by winning a ribbon. Garden Club President Sammy Reggie is attending the Louisiana Federation of Garden Clubs annual conference in Alexandria this week. The West Crowley Beautification Committee, after the Youth Summit, this group did a cleanup along the parade route near the Crowley Middle School and along West Hutchison Avenue. Special attention was given to cleaning up all of West Crowley and Martin Luther King Park. Dr. Proctor also mentioned that the National Association of University Women Incorporated is actively engaged in the Crowley community. A couple of projects include meet and greet for Little Miss and Little Master NAUW pageant with contestants and parents. The literacy emphasis donated books to Ross Elementary School students for home reading by parents and students, donated books to North Crowley Elementary School in hopes of improving their reading skills and comprehension, and donated books to kindergarten school students for Literacy Month. And from the Crowley Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, they will be holding a Delta Pearls Initiative. We listen and we don't judge, Girl Talk Edition. And that will be on Saturday, April 19th from 3 until 6 p.m. It will be at the Delta Community Corporation, 709 West 5th Street. They will also be hosting a Books and Balloons on the Green, and the date will be announced. That will be held sometime in May, and that will be at the historic Ross Library, same address, 709 West 5th Street. Students in grades K through 5 are invited. Breakfast, brunch will be served. And this group is gearing up for their 50th anniversary celebration, 50 years of community service and engagement. That's going to be on June 7th from 5 until 9 p.m. at the Grand Opera House of the South, and tickets are $80 per person. So lots of things going on in the community. There are no action items. Are there any discussion items for this committee? With that, the committee will recess.
Thank you, ma'am. Revenue and Finance, Alderman Lachele, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The Revenue Finance Committee convenes. We have a quorum present. Under reports, we have none to be read. Under action items, we had a referral from the Public Safety Committee for a request from Fire Chief Luis Romero for the appropriation of $40,000 from the general fund to cover equipment repairs. And I so move.
Second.
Okay, had a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. There's no discussion items and no other business to come before the committee. Committee recess.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.